Woo! Hi, everyone! Happy Thursday! We are so excited to be here with you again today, as we're going to be talking about work environment. Our topic today is a work environment that works for you. How do we find it? How do we know what it is? Lots of questions to dive into today. But let's start it off by introducing ourselves. Hi, Nicole! Oh, good to see you. So happy that you're here.
Yeah,
Um, Anna, do you want to go ahead and start by introducing yourself?
sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Gaynor, bilingual career strategist, certified HR professional. I motivate and empower you to seek change. Here on LinkedIn, I write about career change, job search, work environment, boundaries, and mindset. I'm originally from Brazil, but I've been to the US for many years, and I'm tuning in from North Carolina. How about you,
Woo!
Teresa?
Hey everyone, I'm Theresa White. I live in beautiful Hawaii, so very, very lucky. And I guide women in discovering what they're meant to do and empower them to find a fulfilling career. Because I remember it just like it was yesterday when I was stuck in a career that was not the right one for me and I did not know what I really wanted to do. So, anyone in that position, I have like so much passion to help them find a better fit. And we're going to talk about a lot of that today. But we'd love to say if everyone who's listening in, drop a hi into the chat. Let us know that you're here. Let us know where you're listening in from. Hi, Julie. Great to see you. And let's get started. Anna, do you want to start it off and give us an idea of what are we talking about? What is a work environment?
Yeah, so I just want to remind everyone we only know if you're here with us if you say hello in the chat. So feel free to, let us know where you're tuning in from or just say drop a hello and we're happy to see you there. And that's how we know you are here. So what is a work environment? When you think about environment, that word, it makes us think of the physical space, right? The office, for example. Yes, that is a part of it. But the work environment is the setting, the social features, and the physical conditions in which you perform your job. These elements can impact your feelings of well being, workplace relationships, collaboration, efficiency, and your health. So the work environment is physical. There's the culture, the company culture, and the working conditions. So the physical would be the office, either like you have to go into an office or you work in a hybrid setting where you do some of the work from home or from somewhere else, and you need to show up in the office a couple of days. And there's the fully remote work that you can do from home or from somewhere else. So when it comes to the physical piece, for example, if you're a hybrid worker, how many days do you need to show up in the office? If you work from home, do you need to buy some of the equipment? Are they going to provide all the equipment that you need to do your best work from home? So if you need to show up in the office, let's say you work in an open office environment, do they have private rooms that you can go and maybe have do some deep work, meaning you're just really concentrating and doing your work with a closed door, right? So when it comes to culture, we're talking about the company values, the mission, diversity, equity, and initiatives and belonging. um, are they like a learning organization? Do they foster creativity, innovation? Is it like a competitive kind of culture? Like there's all these different things. There are 1 million different things about the company culture, right? When it comes to condition, it's like, do they foster work and life balance? What are the expectations for the role? Do they foster a healthy lifestyle? Do you feel physically and psychologically safe there? What are the work hours? Are they really deadline driven? What is the management style? Those are just some ideas regarding the work conditions. So work environment is going to be the physical, the culture, and the conditions in which you do your work. So what's the relation between company culture and the work environment? So the culture is one aspect as the work of the work environment, and interconnected with being able to do your best work. culture is the way a company and the employees, how they operate, right? How do you bring both together? So what efficient communication looks like between the different levels of staff. How do how does that work with the leadership team and all the way to the bottom, right? What are the company goals? What are the company values? So those are just we're just brushing a little bit on the company culture here. That's a whole another topic that we can tackle here, but I just wanted to give you all like some idea of what involves a work environment. So we do have a question for you all now. Drop one thing in the chat that you don't like about your work environment. I'll be the first one and then I'll pass this to Teresa. For me, I worked in open offices my entire career and I started working, I was a teenager full time, and I always worked in an open office. And it was a really big struggle for me because I need my space. I need quiet. This is how I concentrate. I like things to be, my desk to be nice and tidy. And that's just kind of how it works for me. And in an open office, it's really hard to control that because there are going to be people walking by or people chatting or people on the phone and noise and the smells and things. So for me, that's always been, something that, I can work, right? But it's something that it's a one thing that can be an issue for me sometimes in work environment. So let us know what you don't like about the work environment. Think about the physical aspect, or think about the culture or the working conditions. So,
Yeah.
Teresa,
So it doesn't have to be your current career, because I know this
yes.
is a public platform, but think of something that you would not want in your work environment. For me, I mean, absolutely relate to what you're saying about an open office. I've been very fortunate that only for a very short time in my career I had to work in an open office. That was maybe a half a year. It was a nightmare for me, honestly. I just got promoted into HR. I was sitting in an open office and I was expected to have confidential calls. So employees would call me with complaints, or manager would call me and ask like, oh, I have this situation with an employee, how do I handle it? And I have to respond in a way on the phone that all these ears around me are not gonna like be super curious about what is going on over there again. And it cost me like so much stress. And then like one time I was like, said something I tried to like as best as I could to keep it confidential, but I had to like respond to a question and my manager heard me, and then I got in trouble for saying something I shouldn't have said in open office, but I didn't have anywhere to go. So that was like absolutely a nightmare scenario for me being in an open office. Thankfully, after a couple of months, the office opened up, and I absolutely loved having my own office, being able to close the door when there's a confidential conversation, not have to worry about anyone listening in. Um, but there's also other things like it's so hard for me to pick just one thing for a work environment, because actually working in an office also doesn't work for me anymore. I've always, since day one of my career, I dreamed about working remotely, and I think that would be my number one, is I need to work remotely. Like, what does not work for me is going into the office. But then also flexibility and freedom are so important for me too. I need to do work where I do my best work and when I do my best work. So all of those are super important to me, and the opposites of those don't work. So on that topic, let's talk a little bit about how do we figure out what works for us, because that's what I really believe in. First, we need to ask ourselves, what are the 5 to 10 things I really, really need in my work environment? Because if you're not clear about what you really want, it's gonna be super hard to find it. So first question, do you want to work remotely, in an office, or hybrid? What is works for you? Obviously, remote work, like I'm a big fan of, it gives me freedom and flexibility. For me, it's less stress, and I absolutely love not having a commute. But I know this is not working for other people. There are people who feel lonely and like isolated at home, and they need to have that in-person interaction in the office, because that's what makes them come alive. They like that collaboration and communication in person and being part of the company culture. So who are you? What do you need to do your best work? If you are someone who wants to go into an office, where should that office be located? How long of a commute is reasonable for you? Question, are you okay with an open office space? Are you looking for your own office? Do you need privacy? So all of these questions, ask yourself and find your answer. What is it that you need? The next question is, do you prefer to work for a large company or a small organization? Because both of those also really affect the work environment. Do you like a large company with lots of benefits, potentially higher pay, opportunities, really clear-cut systems and procedures? Or do you thrive more in a small company that has more of an out-of-the-box thinking, where there's a lot more change, where you might be wearing many different hats, but you also get exposed to different departments and roles and functions? Maybe there's less competition within the company. Again, both pros and cons for both. What works for you? The third question is, what benefits do you need? What do you need to thrive? Do you need like your health insurance? Do you need physical and mental health benefits? How important is time off for you? Do you want unlimited time off? Is there a certain amount of paid time off that you're looking for? How many holidays? How many vacation days? What is the sick leave policy? Does the company need to have a retirement savings plan? If so, what do you need there? Do you want to work for a company that offers professional development, maybe wellness programs, or some people really love having free food, like free lunches in the office? What are the things that make you come alive? Like, what is it that you need? Number 4 is a super important question: work-life balance. What work-life balance do you need? I used to work for a manager, and she always says it's never going to be a balance because we can't make it 50-50. And I think she's right in that way, that it's never going to feel like 100% balance. But what does it look like that it works for you? Do you have enough time to manage both your work and your personal time? And what do you need to achieve this? Do you need flexibility to set your own hours? And Anna is a great one to talk about that. But how can you set boundaries around your work hours so that you have the work and life balance that you need? Does your company require you to work nights or weekends? Are you allowed to take regular breaks or actually sit down and enjoy your lunch? Do you need to travel? All of these questions you need to answer for yourself, so you find what the work-life balance is that you're looking for, so you can find it. And the last point I'm only going to brush on very briefly, because we're going to talk about that in our next career life. But what management style works for you? Do you like to work with for a manager who is very authoritative and tells you, here, this is exactly what I need you to do, and this is when I need it, and it's not the people person? Or do you prefer a manager who's like really the people person, who cares about their team and less task oriented? Do you want a manager who always has a what do you think approach? Or are you looking for a manager who coaches you? Or do you prefer someone who can give you really detailed instructions and gives you freedom, or someone who gives you total freedom to complete your task? All of that, answer for yourself first so you can go out there and look for it. Last thing, how important is inclusion and diversity to you? Is that something you're looking for in a work environment? And if so, what does that look like? What does the inclusive diverse work environment that works for you? So all these questions, figure it out for yourself so that you can now identify it in a career that you're looking for. Now go ahead and drop one thing in the chat that is most important to you when it comes to your work environment. And I'm going to hand it back off here to Anna.
Sure. So let's talk about the healthy work environment. We're not going to talk about toxic work environment because that's another whole live event. And there's a lot on the topic that we could be talking about. But what does a healthy work environment look like? So usually it's when employee and managers, they work together to promote healthy actions. and their behaviors, they find ways to keep people safe and well. They care about people's well-being, right? Like, are people working way more than they should be working? Are people, taking breaks, taking vacations, all these different things? Do they have like healthy foods around the office and all these different things, right? So a healthy environment appreciates open discussion, and they also foster strong professional relationships. They want people to feel like they are truly a part of the team, right? In this case, that's, it's more, it goes beyond fitting in. It's more about belonging. You can show up as your whole self, right? And it also helps increase productivity. So, in a healthy work environment, people feel seen and heard. They feel safe to show up as themselves. So, another thing that I want to bring here, it's okay to seek change. When you graduated from college, if you even attended college, let's say your first job was even after high school, maybe at that time it was cool for you to work outside, to work in a classroom, and or maybe even in an office. But we change, we evolve, we're human beings. We are we do change, even though sometimes we tend to resist change. We evolve, right? So what you want today may be very different than what you wanted when you were 18 years old, right? So it's okay if today going to the office and having, and this is true, I had coworkers who had 2-hour commutes. If that doesn't work for you anymore, if you like your job, everything is good, talk to them. Is there something that it can be done? Maybe you show up a couple days a week or a day or two, and then the rest of the days you work from home, because sometimes it's all about having a conversation and seeing what can be done if you like where you are. But if it's not for you anymore, like you don't want to stand in front of a classroom, for example, anymore, and maybe you want to sit at a desk and that's the kind of job you want to do, it's okay. It's okay. Like, and something that I always talk about, because this whole idea of having the exact same profession forever may work for some people, but it doesn't work for a lot of people. And I feel like the pandemic brought the whole like remote work, and now we're talking about hybrid, right? And a lot of people are already working in that capacity. So that's a change that we all had to adapt quickly, right? So it's okay. Don't beat yourself up if you need a new environment. It's, honestly, like, it may save your career. It may save your career. You may be happy in your career path, but like maybe that particular doing this way doesn't work anymore. How can I adapt and continue to do, my job? So I wrote a post today about, how do you start this search for the work environment? In my opinion, starts with company research first. So choose a company, not a job post. Maybe you can look at the job post, but go do research in the company. We have so many tools today to research companies online. They're on LinkedIn. They are, websites with reviews and all these different things. So check reviews, check websites, contact employees if you want, maybe former employees, and try to, learn more about it. Like, if the more information you can gather just to kind of figure out if this is an environment or a company you want to work for, it's just going to benefit you. And the other thing is the job descriptions, that a lot of people don't really take the proper time to really go over a job description. So do you see a long list, of tasks that you have to do? I remember the other day I saw one that had at least like 20, and I thought it was outrageous. Or do you see a job description with 2 bullet points and the words other duties as assigned, right? Which means you're likely going to be wearing 1 million different hats. So think about how the job description is, the different words in there, and also search for words in the job description that don't resonate with you. If you check my post today, you're going to see some of those words in there. Um, and, maybe what you see may not check all the boxes, but one word shouldn't be the reason why you don't want to apply for a job. I don't want to say that. Or maybe you see the word fast paced and that maybe, but it could mean different things, right? Like fast paced could mean something different for a startup, for example, than for a well, structured, established company that's been on the market for 50 years, for example, right? So if you want to find a work environment that fits you, that works for you, research the company, also look at the job description and try to look at those different words. So I have a question for you all. Like, what are the words in a job description that may be a red flag for you? So I'll give you one for me. Every time I see the word like overtime expected, and yeah, that can be one that because the other day I came across, I look a lot of job descriptions is part of what I do. I saw the word overtime like twice in a job description, and it was for a salary job, which means you don't, based on what I saw, you wouldn't get overtime pay, but they were expecting you to work overtime. And if that's already in the job description twice, that raised a huge red flag for me, because if I were to take that job, I would know that I would have to work I don't know how many hours without getting paid for those hours. So, yeah, if there are any words there that is, something that could be a red flag for you, drop in the chat. We would love to know.
Yes. Great question, Anna. Yeah, there's a lot of words that you can like really pick out of job descriptions and can give you clues. I always say ask about it because, as you said, Anna, it can mean two different things, right?
Mhm,
Well, the
mhm.
overtime expected is pretty clear. Like that would be a red flag for me too if they write that twice in a job description. Another red flag, because remote work is so important for me. If I read a job description that requires me to, where they state in the job description you're required in the office 5 days a week at set hours, it's not going to be a job that works for me. I wouldn't even consider it. So knowing your must haves will help you read through the job description, figuring out, is that something I want to look into more? Would that even possibly work for me? And then I can't even overstate what Anna said. Research is so important because exactly what Anna said is there's so many tools out there. Oh, I love that. Melissa, thanks for dropping this in here. And they say remote in the title, and then the description says on site only. Yes, seriously, how
Yeah.
often have you all seen this one?
Yeah, sometimes, just so you all know, because we both have HR backgrounds, usually they use templates.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was just
and,
gonna say
and
that too.
sometimes if you don't, there's a lot of templates, okay, because there's so much work. So if you don't have the templates to save your life, like you're going to be redoing the same thing like over and over. So what happens sometimes is, it's just like, I don't know, they just didn't read the whole thing, or multiple tasks, doing 1 million things at the same time. But it could be, a mistake. And in that case, yeah, I mean, you could still apply for it and then learn more. If the recruiter calls you, just learn more about it, because that could be just a typo.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I see a lot of things like that too. So that's why I said, if it's just a word here and there that you're not like Teresa said, you can ask about it, because hybrid can mean 1 million different things right now,
Yes.
right? It can mean show up 3 times a month, show up 4 days a week,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah, and that's a great point, Anna. And we also have to give recruiters the benefit of the doubt. They're
yes.
incredibly busy. Most of them work really, really hard. And I
Mhm.
was there myself, and I consider myself to be very detail oriented. But even I had that happen because what I did, I usually would copy paste an old job. So if I'm looking for, I want to fill a manager position, I would look for the most similar one in the past, copy it, and then adjust what I need to adjust. It happens that you forget to go through all the settings, or you skip over a word and you already push it out because there's 10 other things piling up on your desk, and your manager is putting pressure on you, be like, this needs to be out right now, I need to have it posted today. So you're skimming through, you're like, okay, looks good, I'll send it out. And then next thing you know, it's out there and it has a mistake like that. So I think that's what happens a lot, is that maybe recruiters use positions that they wrote pre-pandemic, they repost it, but now the whole work environment has changed. but they forgot to update that. So when there's a disconnect, I would always reach out and ask. I think, not saying there might be some people, some companies out there who could use that as a hook to get more people to apply, but I really don't think that's the majority. I think the majority are honest mistakes. You're so welcome, Melissa. It was a really good question.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so again, doing your research, and that's also going to help you to even to know about companies, because there's a it's so much more important to pick companies that you want to work for than actually jobs that you want to apply for. What are your top 10 to 15 companies that are great places for you to work? So Anna already said there's lots of tools how to find them. Glassdoor has a ton of reviews. I always say take it with a grain of salt, because not all of these reviews are an accurate representation of the company. There might be some great ones or some bad ones. But if you read through a good amount of the reviews, you can get an overall picture what employees feel it is like to work there. You can check LinkedIn. People post about companies all the time. You can, and even better, you can connect with people on LinkedIn. If you're interested in a company, find the people who work there. LinkedIn makes it so easy. Send them a connection request and just say that you're interested and want to learn more about the company. And then ask them questions like, what is the best part of working there? Why do you like working there? Or maybe why do you not like working there if they don't like it? You can ask, is it a collaborative work environment? What are the company values? And are those values just words on a website or on their wall? Or do these values actually get lived every day by the employees? How do managers communicate with their employees? Is it during working hours, or is it a company where the manager reaches out to you at like 8 p.m. asking questions, or expecting you to do complete certain task? How much flexibility do you have at that office? What do hybrid work schedules look like? Um, how many of the current team members are working flexible schedules? How many people work in the office? How many people work remotely? How many people work hybrid? If you're someone whose main priority is like, I want to grow and I want to learn, then ask, like, what does that learning environment look like at the company? Are employees encouraged to continue learning and growing? You can also ask how much time the leaders and managers spend in the office, or if all of your calls going to be virtual with them. What does the team dynamic look like? And another question that I absolutely think is important to ask when you're interviewing or considering a position that's in the office or hybrid is, would you be willing to show me around the office? It's so key to actually see the workspace, and you're not just seeing the physical space, but you're getting a feeling of what is the vibe here? How do people approach you? Are they friendly when someone new walks through the office? Could you actually see yourself here every single day? So those are some questions that you can ask in networking as well as in a job interview to get a better idea of what that work environment truly looks like. So, of course, if you have any questions at all, we're getting to the end of our time here. But as always, drop them into the chat. We're here to answer your questions. Anything that you want to add here, Anna?
No, I think you touch, on great points there. Yeah, those questions. I mean, of course, you're not going to have a list of 20 questions, but like some of those questions, like what is important to you based on your actual work experience? Do you really want a remote type of job? Do you want a hybrid? Like, but what does it look like? And one thing that I want to add really quick about the hybrid work environment, and this is, based on stories from my clients, is that they are hired for a job, and next thing they know, they are the only person in the office. The manager is not there, the colleagues are not there, and they're just sitting there because there's still that phase, that trust that you need to gain, make sure that you can do the job, the the
Yeah.
90 days kind of thing that they call it, right? So try to get an idea if this is what they expect, because if that wouldn't work for a lot of people, because if you need to sit in an office alone and you still need to do training online, what's the point? Right? So psychological safety in a company, yeah, I got
That's a
that
good
one.
question.
Yeah, I need to do
Again,
some thinking.
yeah, I'll go first here. So again, talking to people, and I can feel like when I have a conversation with someone, you can ask them like, do you feel like if there's a problem, do you feel comfortable opening up to your managers? Do you feel comfortable discussing it with your team members? So those are little questions that you can get a sense. Is this an environment where there's open and communication? Also about inclusion and diversity. If you have a different opinion, is that respected, or do people not encouraged to speak up? Is there any what is the management style? Would a manager, if you hear someone, if you talk to someone and they feel like they're afraid of their manager, they feel threatened, they feel like pressure, they're afraid every day to lose their job if they don't deliver, those are clues that it might not be a safe place where you feel safe.
Yeah.
But I think it starts with identifying like in what ways are you looking for the safe place, and then easing your way into questions
Hmm.
about the culture and the communication style there. What do
Yes,
you think,
because
Anna?
yeah, no, there's not a one size fits all answer, and that's not usually how I approach things. What do you need to feel safe, like
Yes.
psychologically safe? I can say from my own experiences, there were environments that I would, enter the room quiet and leave the room quiet because I didn't feel like I could speak up, and whatever I said would be well received. So I didn't, I didn't have that safety there. But the psychological safety could be also fear of retaliation for taking sick time, taking vacation time, not answering your phone after 9 p.m. So Teresa mentioned something about, those questions about the management style, and also like, because different managers are going to manage you, of course, in a different way, but they may be able to adapt to your style. Like, okay, so this person likes, more of the one-on-one approach. This person likes more like of the hands off. Like, you don't need to be checking on me. I'm doing my work. But somebody else may want that hand holding, right? So I think it really depends on what does that feel like for you? What do you need? And this is how I approach things. It's always about what do I need today? What do I need right now? Like, is there something based on my past experiences that I really don't want in a new job? So this is kind of, yeah, just kind of start reflecting on those things.
Yeah. Yeah, for me personally, it would be a big one. How safe do I feel with that person that I'm directly reporting to? And
Hmm.
you get a good sense of that, hopefully already in networking, but definitely in the interview.
Hmm.
And oftentimes, towards the end of the interview, you have time for a more taking the conversation from pure business into maybe a little bit of a more personal conversation. Is this a person you would feel safe having a conversation with? If something is on your mind and you really feel like you need someone to talk with, would this person also ask how much time would we be spending every week together? Like, am I gonna see you once a year for an hour for my annual review, or are we gonna have weekly check-ins? Are those formal, are those informal? But for me, a lot of that comes from my gut feeling of like, yes, this is a person I feel like I could build a trusting relationship with, or like, no, I'm so intimidated. They're like I just remember an interview, and within 10 seconds I knew like there's no way in this world I would ever work for this manager. He was mean, he was intimidating, he like I was stressed within 2 minutes of the interview just by his presence. And that's a clear sign like I would not feel safe working there. So
Yeah.
just as Anna said, knowing what it is that makes you feel safe, and then going out and looking for that and asking the questions around that. Okay, well, we're 5 minutes over, but it was wonderful to chat about all about work environment with all of you here. We really appreciate you listening in. As always, make sure that you follow us, connect with us. Definitely check Anna's post today. It's such a great summary on work environment. And I have a different post today, but if you have 5 minutes to really help me out, I'm doing a market research survey today, and it is even a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card and get 10% off all my coaching services. So if you have 5 minutes and really, really want to help me out, I'd super appreciate if you could take those 5 minutes to tell me about your career. I'm really curious to hear from you. And then we're going to be back in 2 weeks, right, Anna?
Yes, October 6th. I can't believe we're already almost in October. So we're not gonna have the live event next Thursday, but we'll be back on October 6th.
Yes, and we're
What's
going to
the
be
topic?
dealing with a difficult manager. So
Yeah.
we're going to continue this conversation and talk more about management styles and how do you deal with a manager who is difficult.
Mhm.
I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks everyone for being here today and enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.